So we are discussing intuitionism. Is it clear? Visible? Fine. So I think this will be F or fifth point. Okay. Will it be? Will it be? It's fine. Fine. Fifth होगा, F होगा, क्या होगा? Tell me. Just give a second. We are setting up the frame. Okay. Sixth point होगा, हाँ? Right. The administrative law or delegated legislation is also one of the ways of reducing the discretion. In fact, it is a very effective way of reducing the discretion of the public servants, which comes with the idea of intuitionism. Administrative law, basically, right now you can just write a simple definition because we are not going into the technical details. So you can put a star, that is to be discussed later. Fine, to be discussed later, so that you can put that way. Right. But you can write the definition. Okay. Right. Administrative law is a branch of public law. Is a branch of public law. Right? Which deals with the citizen administration relationship. The citizen administration relationship, comma, the purpose being, developing such legal framework through which administrative discretion can be reduced. Administrative discretion can be reduced while the public servants implement the policies, programs, or any other executive or any other government guidelines, you can write it this way, or any other government guidelines, full stop, any other government guidelines, full stop. It also puts the limits to the authority of the public servants and provides a grievance redressal mechanism in cases of intra inter administrative conflicts, inter administrative conflicts, and also between the administration and the citizens, Right. In essence, its purpose is to make the administration efficient and accountable at the same time. Make the administration efficient and accountable at the same time. At the same time. Fine. You read it again. Is it clear to you? Read it again. It will be clear to you. That is the most lucid definition that we can write for administrative law. Simple, covering all the scopes. Right? The only thing that might not be clear is the public law. Clear hai? Right? ठीक है. But you have used the word public law. Public law क्या है? All the laws which deals with state, administration, citizen relationship. All those are public laws. What are private laws? The private laws deals with citizen, okay, business, citizen, and all those that comes in the private sphere. Okay. Personal laws be private laws. Right? Whereas any law which is dealing with the state, administration, citizen relationship comes under the ambit of public law, or something related to state and administration, all comes under the public administration comes generally under the ambit of public law. Fine. So you can understand that it is sub part of this public law. Constitutional law is public law. Legislation is public law. Statute, parliamentary law is a public law. Yes, it must deal with the state, administration, citizen relationship. है कोई doubt? Any doubt? Nobody saying anything? See some comments?
What was after discretion can be reduced?
Now you can just rewind it and listen it on the panel.
Please explain public law.
I have just explained public law.
While public servants implement policies and programs or other government guidelines.
So So somebody discussion कहीं से miss हो गया, somebody please write the line and send it. Fine, I cannot repeat the whole thing क्योंकि वीडियो में आपको मिलेगा, so don't worry. Fine, you can just leave some space, right? Then public law, we just talked about. Public law deals with the sphere of relationship, all the laws which govern the relationship of the state with the state, that is central government with the state government with the state government, and likewise, okay, state and the administration, government and administration, government and citizen, administration and citizen. Fine, this all constitutes public law. Wherever the public, the government is involved, okay, it is public law. Wherever the private citizens are involved, between them, civil suits, divorce, personal laws, marriage, inheritance, these are all the sphere of private law. So private law is separate and public law is separate. अभी कोई doubt है? Let us proceed. Fine. So the administrative law is also one important mechanism by which the discussion can be controlled. Right? Let us now move ahead. The second important philosophy was, obviously intuitionism had its own pitfalls. Fine. Parallelly, you can say there is another traditional philosophy which has been in dominance for a long time, and that philosophy is known as the perfectionism. Fine, you understand the meaning of perfectionism? No, I told you we'll talk about the technicalities over the time. And that is why we said we'll discuss it later. Perfectionism. What do you understand by the word perfectionism? Now in the monarchies, fine, or in general also today even in democracies, do you see most of the institutions, political, administrative, bureaucratic, creative, nepotism का debate चल रहा है, ठीक है? It's going on. Most of the institutions are captured by the elites. In every sphere you will find the emergence of elites. These elites, this English एक language है. English is merely a language, but English has become a class. Fine, and it is, no doubt. We cannot deny it, whatever we say. Right? We believe that it is a global language, it is a language of the intellectuals, it is a language which provides more scope and domain to the understanding, to the clarity, to the, the richness of knowledge that comes with it. Do you agree with this or not? People may call it white man's burden or whatever. It doesn't, colonial hangover, it doesn't matter. Okay, this is how the institutions are performing, and it makes it easy also. It's more easy, okay, to communicate in English. English gives us more of an edge, a global edge. Right? It is because of merely good English only that India probably could compete with China in the back office operations of many of the multinational companies. Okay, which is again moving away now. So China is training its people in English language now.
Distribution of resources among elites and
No, correct. I'm saying that, do you agree that in every sphere there are elites? And these elites set the tone for the masses, sets the tone for the people, okay, who are not elites, okay, and these people actually imbibe the culture of the elites. They value the culture of the elites, they benchmark the culture of the elites, and they believe that whatever these elites are saying or whatever they are doing is worth emulating, and this is what is a good life. This is what is a desirable life. This is what is a desirable status in the society. You agree with this or not? Right? So we have numerous examples for that. Now perfectionism is a kind of philosophy, though we can't say it is public interest in the true sense, but it is a kind of philosophy which says that if the people who are capable, the people who are elites, the people who are developed, or the people who have evolved in the society are worth, or the distribution of resources are worth being distributed or provided only to them in favor of those people who are the elites, the evolved, the achievers of a society, and it is very much justified not to distribute the resource or to skew this distribution or redistribution of resource, against the underprivileged, against the mass, in favor of the elites. It simply tries to say that it is justified to provide benefits and privileges to the people who are capable and powerful, who are achievers and successful in the society. There is nothing wrong in that. Do you agree? There is nothing wrong in that? Should poverty be the basis of distribution of resource, or it should be the merit? Should backwardness be incentivized? No, but it has suited throughout the history of human civilization. The monarchs, right? The caste system, the entire monarchical system, the medieval times, they all based their entire social, political structure, economic structure based on this idea. The entire caste system in India based on this idea. The elites. Who are the elites? Or the minority numerically Now this is a classic structure of society of most of the societies in the world, not only capitalist but many societies in the world. You will find that this is a kind of structure, a hierarchy which is created in the society, a kind of pyramid. The pyramid where the base sustains the apex. The apex comprises of few who are elites, and the base comprises of many, right? And logically, these many are sustained, these few, are sustained by these many. This is how a typical structure of society looks like. So, perfectionism says it is totally justified to give privileges to them. It is totally justified to incentivize them. It is totally justified to promote them because they deserve it. They don't. Whether it is merit, whether it is culture, whether it is their status, whether it is their history, whatever. But the reality of this principle says that it is quite obvious that people who are capable will be benefited and they should be benefited in the society, and the resources of the society must be diverted to these people rather than these one. What is wrong in that? But Tendulkar's son will play cricket, for example. Karan Johar launches people who are star kids. What is wrong? Amitabh Bachchan's son will become the star. What is wrong in that? The social resources, the economic resources are so unevenly distributed. Find that it is what is wrong. The wrong is that you must not restrict the opportunities for others. Fine, you may promote your own, but you may not restrict it for the others. So it creates a kind of glass ceiling, it creates a kind of structure, a gap, a strong gap. And this gap is not overcome by them. Fine? It will require a lot of force, a lot of effort to overcome this gap. Fine? So, this is perfectionism. Now, perfectionism was quite dominant in the traditional societies, whether they were cultural dominated or religion dominated or they were monarchical systems, political systems. It is only after the coming of democracy that we equalize this power, we equalize the status. But even though in democracy also we have not been able to achieve what we wanted. So can we say that even democracy has been a victim of perfectionism? Democracy has also been captured by the elites, and you see political elites, you see cultural elites, you see economic elites, you see backward elites. मायावती का जो whosoever nephew है, okay, वो आएगा पावर में. पासवान है तो उसका बेटा पावर में आएगा. लालू है तो उसके बेटे पावर में. What is this? This is dynastic only. It has nothing to do with their cultural status. And if it was so, and if they were concerned about democratization, or they were concerned about equalization, or they were really concerned about the status of their fellow beings in the society, they would have worked for that. They did not. The entire politics of Tamil Nadu is based on the caste lines. AIDMK, okay, somewhere indicates the dominance of the Brahmins, the elites, or the so-called the upper caste. Okay. The DMK came as a response to that. Fine. Periyar was one of the leading persons. Fine. Justice Party, Peace Party, whatever they created. Okay. Was basically a reaction to that. Okay. Even in UP, Bihar, where you see the mobilization of Rajasthan, where you see the Rajasthan still not overcoming, or is not able to overcome that. Fine. So, the entire mobilization in the central India, you see, of the political parties is around the caste lines, and whether it uses the backwardness as the vote bank mechanism or as a means of vote bank gathering vote banks. Okay, in spite of that, there will emerge the elites from the backwards also. So there is a kind of the structures, stratification, hierarchical division within the backwards themselves, within the lower caste themselves, so-called lower caste. You understand this process? Right? Pareto and Mosca, two Italian scholars are there. You must have heard the name of Pareto, Wilfred Pareto. Fine? And Gaetano Mosca. It cannot serve public interest. It was one of the dominant philosophies of public interest. It is a traditional philosophy which is still used. It may not actually serve the public interest, it may serve the interest of few. But it was justified by scholars, by theorists who lived in a particular era. and probably who live today also, there are many who justified Brahmin domination. They justified, okay, the Kshatriya domination. They justified. Right? We are not saying that you must support. It is one of the philosophies which was dominant in traditional times, okay, and not to very. Even the Constitution of India is said to be captured by the elites. Colonial administration was totally elitist. Okay, the monarchical administration, whether Mughal administration or even prior to it, all were elitist. Now we find the instance of Chandragupta or Chanakya picking up Chandragupta. Chandragupta was coming from a backward caste, fine, but his lineage is traced to again the Kshatriya clan. Okay. Mura was the mother, and that is why the name Maurya comes from here. But, or they were used to rear Mayur, more, peacocks. And that is how the name comes. So even he was considered coming from a humble background, lower caste, but Kautilya picks him up, Chanakya picks him up and makes him into a king. Okay, but now his elitism continues after that. But there are only few instances where we find this. No doubt, there were lower caste kings in the South India. Okay, there were a lot of other kings who emerged. Chahe Guptas ho, chahe whosoever are there, they emerged powerful. But then the power or the usual philosophy or the usual principle that guided the inheritance to power was based on the elitism only. So even if somebody is coming from the backward class and becomes the king, his son will become the king. That is the law of inheritance or hereditary nature of the power. That itself is elitist. So perfectionism was or is a principle of philosophy which could explain all this that happened, and probably which supported all this idea. So it is one of the philosophies of public interest. We are not saying that it may be actually a public interest, but it was perceived that what is the interest of the society, what is in the interest of people, the interest of these people. That is how it was projected, and that is how it was perpetuated, and that is how it was supported. That if these people benefit, if they are in comfort, if they have the privileges, why will they have privileges? Because they are entitled to these privileges. If they have the privileges, they are going to lead the society. आप इसको ऐसे समझो कि एक patriarchal family में the boy gets the benefit. The assumption is that the boy will lead the family. He will create wealth and resources for the family. The girls, on the other hand, will take away the resources and the wealth of the family. Right? ये भी एक elitist है. Right? So perfectionism comes with this idea. We are not saying it is to be accepted as a philosophy of public interest, but it was at one point of time circumstantially one of the dominant philosophies of public interest, where when you think of kings, queens, barons, dukes, earls, okay, and when you talk about the, let's say, the British Parliament, the House of Lords, kya hai? Elitist. Right? So when you think of the monarchies, the royal blood, the blue blood, which is supposed to be, right, that he comes from a blue blood, he comes from the royal blood, right? So, Saif Ali Khan abhi bhi Nawab hai, right? Okay, that is elitist. So the logic is that we are not saying it is good or bad. Don't give your judgment. Now, first understand that what is this idea, what is this philosophy? This philosophy basically promoted, protected, perpetuated the dominance of elites in the society. Obviously, they also wanted a legitimization principle, and the legitimization principle was the perfectionism. Even today also we say merit. Right? So perfectionism promotes merit also. It's not just talking about cultural or inherited legacy. It is also talking about merit. So when you talk about reservation policy today, positive discrimination today, right? Many of you may agree, many of you may not agree with that. What is the rationality behind the positive discrimination? Now whether it is available to the general category also, or available to the backwards in this country, or Supreme Court puts a cap of 50% on that, whatever. Indira Sahni case, you might have read, Mandal case, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now, what is the rationality behind the reservations? What is the rationality behind let us say, subsidies. What is the rationality behind giving certain benefits and perks and privileges to the poor, to the backwards? What is the rationality behind it? Social justice, right? But somebody will say, what about merit? You are benefiting certain people in the name of backwardness, in the name of exploitation, for example, and that is agreeable, no doubt. But that exploitation or that backwardness was a consequence of, let us say, our ancestors. Why should we pay for that? If somebody comes and asks this question, then okay, my great grandfathers, what they did, how am I liable for that? Why should I be taxed for that? Or is it a natural law that I will be bearing that? Fine. Now there can be various arguments against it also. And people may say that, okay, yes, you are providing reservation in education, that is enough. Why reservation in job? Then why reservation in promotions? Right? So, or subsidies. Why subsidies? Those who are not performing well, why subsidies? Why to give grants? Why to give loans or soft loans to those people who are not able to repay it? Now, there must be a merit which must guide it. So, there can be arguments for and against it. So, try to understand perfectionism should not be understood with that narrow perspective also, that it is only about elites. Now, elites will emerge. Now, these elites may come from different backgrounds. But the logic is that society definitely bestows, and a discrimination or discriminated privileges to the elites in comparison to the masses. And it will happen in every society in some form or the other. So perfectionism always remains, maybe in a different form. It never dies down. In fact, nepotism is also a kind of perfectionism. Fine? Rewarding a merit, incentivizing the merit, and penalizing the non-meritorious is also a kind of perfectionism. Though the philosophy will change, social justice will say that no, you need to give protection more to those people who are not capable. Whereas perfectionism say then, but what about people who are capable? Why not reward them? If we reward them, they'll be motivated, they'll work harder, the society will grow. Right? Whereas the social justice supporters of social justice will say no, we must provide more support to those who are backwards, those who are handicapped, or those who are differently abled, or those who require that support. But the perfectionists will say that even if you give them support, they might not be able to do something for the society. They will just sustain themselves. So why not benefit those people who can actually make the society progress, or which can actually make the society grow? That can be a very strong argument by the perfectionist. Agony. So you bet on that horse which actually can win the race. That is what happens. In class, a teacher gets more affectionate, more affiliated to, or more interactive with the student who seems to be more smarter. Perfectionism. Right? The students get associated with the teachers who seem to be more smarter. Perfectionism. So it may have varied forms. In family, people who do well, they are more rewarded, they are more appreciated. People who are not able to do well, they are mostly discarded and criticized. Perfectionism. So try to understand, it has numerous dimensions. It has various perspectives. It's not as simple as just saying that elites are supported. But how this entire process starts, you have to understand, it starts right from the family level. We glorify elites. We iconize elites. Virat Kohli plays cricket for himself, not for us. Fine? BCCI does not represent India as a nation. No. It is a private trust which is working for itself. And what is the right to call Indian captain? Virat Kohli is not Indian captain. He is BCCI's cricket team's captain. But we iconize it. What extraordinary contribution Amitabh Bachchan has done? Apart from the entertainment is his profession. He excelled in his profession and he got the benefits. What contribution does that make to the society? It makes contribution to the arts, the cinema, it is fine. But when you talk about social justice, when you talk about social contribution, when you talk about communal contribution, when you talk about the contribution to the overall evolution and benefit of the society, these people stand nowhere. What are they doing? Nothing. Only their magnitude and scale is bigger. They are more visible. उससे बेटर तो वो टीचर्स हैं जो प्राइमरी स्कूल में पढ़ा रहे हैं इन सच इनह्यूमन कंडीशंस, who are teaching there. Right? Those politicians are there who work hard and to scale up the ladder and go somewhere or achieve that feat. Students, bureaucrats are there who work hard for years and years and years and then they get into that particular position. And as byproduct of their profession, they are contributing to society also. So the logic is you have to draw the line, you have to understand the difference. Don't outrightly criticize a philosophy just because it seems to be biased towards certain people. Those people are also from the society and they might have worked their way hard to achieve what they are today. Right? So it has a humanistic element also, it has a merit element also, it has an incentive element also that okay, we must promote people who are capable or who can do, who have the potential. But yes, eventually it turns out to be elitist in nature. So perfectionism was not totally based on the logic of exploitation. Right? Is that clear to you? Is our discussion understandable, what we are doing? विद्यार्थी लोग right, so now write, it's better write something, right? Okay. Perfectionism is also a traditional philosophy of public interest, where, within quotes again, where it believes that the privileges, the resources, and the opportunities, the privileges, resources, and the opportunities in the society privileges, resources, and opportunities in the society must be distributed in favor of those who are capable. See, all types will come. Who are capable, meritorious, worthy, or have achieved excellence, in their respective sphere. It takes into account both. The socio-cultural and the achievement perspective. Underline these two words: socio-cultural and achievement perspective. That is favors the traditional elites as well as those who excel on merit. Unquote. Inverted commas closed. Take the next line. Or next paragraph. It's better to take next paragraph. Next paragraph लिखिए. It is not something new and has been in existence since the dawn of human civilization. Comma, the principle only explains and supports it. The principle only explains and supports it. Now there was a need for a principle or a theory to explain what is happening and why this is happening, and that is where this principle comes. So it explains in general and also supports the idea that yes, this is what should happen. It has both the elements. It describes that this is what is happening and this is how you can understand why it is happening, and it also says that yes, this must happen. Right. Likhe next. For example, the monarchies, comma, the inheritance of power and privileges based on tradition, comma, hereditary nature of political systems like monarchies, nature of political systems, comma, emergence of elite class under industrialization, or for that matter the privileges enjoyed by the higher castes in traditional societies like India. All indicate an inherent perfectionism. Okay. Next paragraph, right. In essence, it may easily justify. In essence, it may easily justify the diversion of resources towards the elites in a society, or it may justify the diversion of resources towards elites in a society, or, comma, the absence of the absence of socially conscious policies towards the marginalized. Full stop. Underline this entire thing. Put it in a box, underline it, make a star, whatever. This can directly be a question. You read it again. Did you understand it? You can read this line again. It may justify the diversion of resources towards the elites, or the absence of socially conscious policies for the marginalized. Did you understand what it says? Right? That this philosophy is going to support the idea that we can promote the benefits of few at the cost of many. Understand? This is the logic of the statement that we have written, and this is the limitation of this philosophy. Okay, you can justify certain things, but you cannot justify absence of empathy or sensitivity in your entire decision-making process. It may not technically have any ethical and moral considerations while doing so. So perfectionism may be perfectly happy without having ethical and moral undercurrents and say it's okay, it's justified, those who can, they do, those who are capable will do, the others will simply run the race. They need not even run the race, don't create a track for them, because they cannot do it. So there is an inherent pessimism in this philosophy. It is not constructive in nature. It is not socially sensitive. These are the drawbacks of perfectionism. But then perfectionism dominates various political and social cultures and value systems throughout the world. And nowhere you will find a complete equality, a complete egalitarian society, a completely just and fair system. मिलेगा आपको? कहीं नहीं मिलेगा. You'll never get it, you'll never find it. Okay, that is a utopia, that is an idealism, to think of that. So at this age you can think of it. It is a very famous saying that if you're not a Marxist or communist till the age of 30, then you don't have value system. Then you don't learn the ideology. Then you don't value the society and its aspects. You cannot be empathetic to society. If you are not Marxist till the age of 30, but if you are not capitalist after 30, your wife won't let you live. That is also a reality. Right? Your family won't let you live. Your children won't let you live. So if you don't become capitalist after 30, right? So yes, the best thing is to have the best of both the worlds. A combination of social justice with benefit or rewarding or incentivizing the merit, both can work, coexist together, and that is what is visible in the positive discrimination in India, where the Supreme Court says that the reservation, the cap on the reservation will not be more than 50%. Now that is a different debate, that after giving it to the general category, is it increasing or not? Okay, that debate, keep it for some later discussion. Right? That is not part of discussion here. Because I know you'll ask maybe the second thing, this only. Experience सिर्फ एज से नहीं होता है, world view से होता है. So when you will enter the system, you will realize that the system itself is elitist, the bureaucracy is elitist, The bureaucracy coming from any background, the bureaucrats coming from any XYZ background, doesn't matter. They develop themselves as a group of elites who are rigid, who are powerful, who are opaque, and who can go to any length to protect this privilege that they have. Right? Are you clear with this now? Right? So perfectionism was quite evident in the traditional philosophies, in the monarchies, in the caste system, everywhere that you see. Right? But the logic is that, okay, shall we accept it? Shall we denounce it? Shall we value it? Shall we promote it? Shall we propagate it? No, obviously not. Whereas the merit part is concerned, we can. Right? But not at the cost of exploiting the others. Right? When you talk about sustainable development, now let us take it to another level, okay, altogether. Make it more interesting. When you talk about sustainable development, when you talk about the West and the non-West relationship, when you talk about the developing and underdeveloping relationship, do you find that perfectionism is quite evident there? When you talk about the global distribution of resources, do you find perfectionism is quite evident there? Is it or not? Right? No, change your orientation altogether. अब निकोलस हेनरी को पढ़ने में इतना ही मिलेगा, है ना? तो इसलिए हमें उसके भी बियॉन्ड जाना है. Right? This all comes through intuitive knowledge. Application. So what simple logic is that this idea extends not only to within the society or within the territory, it extends globally. It's a pan-world phenomenon. So when it comes to the Western biasness in the global scenario, when it comes to the domination of the IMF, the World Bank, the global institutions, when it comes to the Western biasness in terms of what democracy is, Western biasness in terms of what is a good culture, what is a good life, what is successful life, what is growth, who will decide what should be the political system or framework governing Africa or Latin America or for that matter Asia. Okay, what is it? This is all perfectionism. When we see the glorification of one culture at the cost of other, when we call India backward and traditional and when we call US progressive, cultured, highly evolved, we are only using one parameter, maybe political or economic. But what about socio-cultural? On socio-cultural parameters, we are much more evolved than them. Only on economic parameters we might not be. And there also, our intellectual property, our intellectual capability is much higher, much evolved than what these people are. Okay? So instead of preparing for this exam or whatever or teaching for this exam, can't we all go to the Harvard and Princeton and get into research and get Nobel Prize? But when you see that Nobel Prize is being won by most of the Westerners, don't you think, okay, that there is a perfectionism? If you have to publish a research article, I don't know how many of you are PhDs, maybe not, okay, or you have done your MTech or Masters or whatever, or your research fellows, you'll realize that if you have to, even if you have to publish an MTech paper, and you want it to be approved by a foreign scholar, right? Or at least you want him to give his comments, then what? It must have come from Western references. Then only he finds it suitable enough to be reviewed, otherwise not. Okay? So research, okay, plagiarism, cultural, social, political, environmental, sustainable development क्या है? Okay. Kyoto Protocol क्या है? What is Kyoto Protocol? What is sustainable development? You kindly keep writing it. See, everything cannot be dictated. That is what I told you. You keep writing it here. Whatever we are discussing. These will become your cue words to link it. Practically understand it. And don't be lazy that we'll go back and write again we'll see the recording and write it. write it here itself. It will get etched in your memory. Sustainable development क्या है? जल्दी बताओ, वैसे भी I want to take sannyas from PubEd after some time. Right. ठीक है. You write one word for sustainable development. Fine? Inter and intra-generational equity in terms of resource, distribution and consumption. ये ठीक है definition? Looks like a learned definition. Yeah, everybody can write. There must be. So you're right. You're correct. There is nothing wrong with that. But let us go a little one level above that. Intra-generational equity in consumption or distribution and consumption of resources. So sustainable development model कौन decide करता? Who decides it? We are inherently following the sustainable development process. But when we talk about global environmental debate, the global environmental relationship, the global environmental parameters and policies, the framework that governs most of the nation states under the United Nations, or under the Kyoto framework, under the Cartagena framework, right? Or under the Rio summit, right? Or whatever, UNFCCC, right? Whenever it governs under that, what happens? It is quite obvious that the Western domination is visible. The America itself does not want to follow the obligation. Right? The UK wants to extend the same time frame to the non-Western countries also. Right? The transition from the CFC, we are making a transition towards what? मॉन्ट्रियल प्रोटोकॉल क्या है? मॉन्ट्रियल, right? Take some time. CFC, so to making a transition CFC, HCFC better है कि CFC better है? HCFC to HCFC? Fine, kindly go and find out. Okay, I'll give you a very interesting article over the time, don't worry. That is what the beauty of PubEd is. You'll study so many diverse things. Right? So you'll be truly an evolved person, not just an aspirant for UPSC. Fine, you'll know GS like anything. A person who knows GS well, at least the conceptual part, right, performs very well in PubEd. Person who knows PubEd very well performs very well in GS. People say what people say is a mistake, that ethics paper may know throughout the entire GS. Because your orientation becomes like that. Right? Your altitude is defined by your attitude. When you think of all these global frameworks, if you analyze them properly, you will find there is a Western biasness. Okay, this smells of perfectionism still evident. When you see trade negotiations, when you talk about WTO, the Doha round of talks, and the conflict that is between the Western and non-Western countries, or specifically US and India, right, or developing countries, or dominantly agriculturally dominant countries. When you see that conflict, what is the nature of the conflict? That nature of conflict itself indicates perfectionism. When you think of green revolution in this country, what happened in green revolution? Who is an important name associated with green revolution? Swaminathan and Norman Borlaug. Swaminathan is also talking about evergreen revolution. Green Revolution 2, Evergreen Revolution, Global Green Revolution. When you talk about Green Revolution, was it not perfectionism? You talk about a lot of water in a country which is totally dependent on rainfall. 60 to 70% of the agriculture is based on monsoons. It is said that Indian agriculture is a gamble on monsoons. Hardly 30% command irrigation, and most of them traditional types. Right? We already know that what percentage of people are actually involved in agriculture who own the lands. Few. Those who don't own the land, majority of them are the farmers or peasants or laborers or daily wagers or whatever. Now the Green Revolution benefited whom? It was technology intensive, it was chemical intensive, it was water intensive, it was skill intensive, and it required large tracts of land. Inventory, tractor, thresher, whatever. Go down. Whom it benefited? It created a class of rich farmers in India. पूरा पंजाब हरियाणा उसका बेनिफिट ले गया, आंध्रा उसका बेनिफिट ले गया. Right? When you think of all these aspects, you must think of perfectionism. Don't think of perfectionism only simply in theoretical terms. No, you have to understand in the larger social context, the global context, the globalization perspective. Globalization क्या है? Totally based on perfectionism. It talks about equality, it talks about exchange amongst whom? One is so powerful, the other is so powerless. Will there be an exchange? Will there be an equal bargain between them? Will this bargain be just and fair? It will never be. समझ में आ रहा है भैया? रस्ट, कुछ रस्ट हटा यहां से, डी रस्टिंग प्रोसेस शुरू हो. हट गया. यू विल बिकम टाइटेनियम, डोंट वरी. Not even stainless steel. So obviously you think in from that perspective and then go across the disciplines and try to review this logic. So whether we talk about the globalization perspective, whether we talk about the environmental relations that are emerging in today's scenario, whether we talk about the trade relationships, whether we talk about in general the cultural relationship between different countries, especially the developed and developing countries, or whether we talk about within the country, within the region, within the territory, these relationships, okay, many of them reflect the perfectionism as an entrenched value. The only thing is that people don't accept it openly. The scholars don't support it openly. But as a hidden agenda from Bollywood to Belapur, everywhere, you will find the dominance of this. Right? So the logic is perfectionism that bad? No. In reality, it is serving the purpose. Right? In reality, it is a natural order of things. The natural social order of things will be that way only, that will emerge a set of elites or people who will be more benefited than the others. But the only thing is that, are we going to restrict the benefit to them? No. And here, the perfectionism as a philosophy can be criticized. Right? I hope you have all written these aspects or cues, you have taken your cues what we have talked about. Fine? So kindly use it that way, understand it that way, or use it to understand the logic. Right? So now you can continue. Right. देखिए, perfectionism as a philosophy, as a philosophy should not be narrowly interpreted. Narrowly interpreted. It must be understood in the context of broader changes like globalization, global environmental framework, comma, trade relations, and emerging cosmopolitan cultures. Emerging cosmopolitan cultures. Right? In democracies also, it is quite visible in the form of emergence of political elites, or local elites. Who tend to capture the benefits and resources. Right. In fact, perfectionism is justified by many on the following grounds. Justified by many on the following grounds. Justified by many on the following grounds. A. Merit or potential must be rewarded. This is a very important ground they are using. This is a very important argument in support of perfectionism by the scholars. Merit or potential must be rewarded. People are inherently achievers or non-achievers. You cannot make them. These are the divine theory, you can say. That people who are capable are God sent. Fine. So they believe in this logic also as an argument that there are people born with capabilities and there are people who are not born with capabilities. So you have to segregate the society into two. The achievers or the capable can lead the society better. Propel growth. Which will benefit all. So there is nothing wrong in providing. The achievers or capable can lead the society better, propel growth, which will benefit all. So there is nothing wrong in providing them special privileges. Fine? Now, ये लिख लिया? Have you written this? Yes or no? लिख लिया? D. This is also a very valid argument by them, though may not be totally accepted. So they say inequality and discrimination are natural aspects, even nature discriminates. While bestowing capabilities, while bestowing intellect, while bestowing knowledge, while bestowing the ability to excel, while bestowing certain skills or attitudes or temperaments or whatever innate qualities. Right? So there are some innate qualities with which people are born, and that is why they are saying people are born with superior brains, with superior knowledge, with superior skill, okay, with superior abilities to think or whatever. So even, or for that matter, physical disability or what. So they believe that when the nature itself is inequitable, when the nature itself promotes inequality, then why we cannot justify it at the social level? Is it clear to you? Then this is also a very strong argument that resources are finite, they are less or they are scarce, so must be judicially distributed. And there is no need for equitable distribution of resources. There is no need for equal distribution of resources. So as resources are less, we need to create resources, and that is why we are bestowing it on those who are capable so that they can create more resources. Now all these grounds become the defining aspect, the defining moment for the perfectionism, on which ground, okay, we have seen the emergence of classes, the elites, the kings, the monarchs, the privileged cultural elites of the society, or for matter, uneven distribution of resources justified within the society. Whether you talk about gender, whether you talk about environment, whether you talk about trade, commerce, culture, everywhere you will find the elites, and they duly justify their position on certain grounds. तो कल्चरल एलिट्स है, कास्ट एलिट्स है, जो भी है, दे आर जस्टिफाइड. ये क्लियर है? दिस पार्ट इज क्लियर टू यू? इज इट क्लियर? फाइन, ऑल क्लियर? तो स्प्राइट पीते हैं, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Now see, it is justified on these grounds, but what are the arguments against it? What are the arguments against it? Right? Arguments क्या है? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट आर्गुमेंट है. Rewards and incentives are not bad. But must not restrict. Rewards or incentives are not bad, but must not restrict the opportunities for others. This is a very strong ground. Then why do you justify that others should not have the access and only few should have the access? Because they are performing well, that does not mean they are going to perpetually do so. Right? They cannot work ad infinitum. Till infinity, they will be doing this way. This is not right. Unless you explore, unless you give opportunity to others, unless you provide creative freedom to others, you are not going to find out that maybe people may excel beyond what we think. Right? The second is, it is just another way of justifying exploitation. Perpetuation of power, fine, and centralization of benefits into the few, into the group of people. That is just another way of exploitation, nothing else. Fine? Negates the principle of social justice.
Can we say that private sector works on professionalism?
Yes, to an extent we can say that. Dehumanizes the entire. Now you can interpret so many things. You have the brains given to you now. And you have the brains, but I'm saying you have been given the logic, so आप interpret कर सकते हो, no doubt. Negates the principle of social justice and dehumanizes the entire process. entire process of socio-economic growth क्यों चाहिए अगर लोगों को benefit नहीं होगा? Why do we need growth? Why should growth at all be justified if the people are not able to benefit from that? If people are not able to be included in that process? If we don't create an egalitarian, a just, a fair society, what is the utility of all this? These are just numbers which may help you feel good for a time being, which may help you titillate for time being, but they do not have any substantive value to your lives. Fine? Then it is inherently pessimistic. Right? Even if it talks about the mental or natural capability some have. Fine? How can it rule out that the others cannot acquire that capability? Fine? It does not believe. If given the opportunity, the capability or the skill can be acquired. Amartya Sen बोलता है. Later Amartya Sen comes with his idea of justice or capabilities approach, and he says that if when the proper conditions are given, if the education is provided, if the socio-economic conditions are created in such a manner, then definitely the skill, the aptitude, the orientation can be improved. Contradicted by Amartya Sen. Right, so you can write it. You visible?
Yes.
This is visible?
Yes.
Right. So contradicted by Amartya Sen. He comes, and many people, no doubt. So they are inherently pessimistic in nature and believe. And yes. Subsidies, waivers, cost of discrimination, they can easily justify, or when we talk about reservation for women and likewise, so it can easily justify that these things are not important, let us do away with and let us promote certain class of people only. So inherently it is divisive in nature, it creates divisions in the society. Right? And the biggest argument would be It is contradictory to the values of democracy. Self-rule plus shared rule. The shared rule, the sense of community, the sense of commonness, the sense of belongingness, the sense of ownership or co-ownership that comes in a democracy is totally missing in this philosophy. Fine? It will create a class of owners and workers. So technically it creates a class divide. It creates a class feeling. It creates a feeling of being rejected or being isolated in the society, which is not good for the society or social compatibility of people or communities in the long run. Now, obviously, perfectionism as a philosophy has been in existence. It might have done good and bad both, maybe bad more. Fine? And that is how we see the dominance or elitism which is visible in most of the societies. Unchecked perfectionism. Unregulated perfectionism. Obviously, perfectionism can be regulated only when we provide opportunities to others also. When the distribution of resources or privileges is on the basis of merit, and for promoting merit or for acquiring that merit, everybody should be given the opportunity. If it is not just based on natural abilities, or if it does not distinguish people based on just natural abilities cannot be tested. The natural abilities may exist in many spheres, not just in few spheres. So in the absence of any criteria, in the absence of any benchmark, in the absence of any specific format in which we are going to evaluate the capabilities of people, in which we are going to understand the abilities of people and then quantify that in terms of the benefit for the society, this seems to be highly illogical and highly biased and partisan in its approach. Fine? So we can easily discard it and say that the modern democracies, they might also have certain aspects of elitism, but as a philosophy, as a value system, it is not compatible with the democracy. आया कुछ समझ में? Did you get it? Did you understand it? Yes. Fine. Now, so you write one question. लिखिए. Right. Within quotes, you write. First question. Perfectionism may very easily justify the exclusion of the marginals, from the state policies. So inverted commas closed. Fine. Do you agree? Question mark. Do you agree? 100 words only. Fine. Do you agree? 100 words only. Second question लिखिए. give arguments for and against. Give arguments for and against. Against the acceptance of perfectionism as a philosophy of public interest. As a philosophy of public interest. Public interest. Provide your arguments. Next part of the same question. Continued. Provide your arguments. In the global and multidisciplinary perspective. In the global and multidisciplinary perspective. Fine. Now, let me give you another. Now, so ये part अभी हो गया. Let us go.
Sir, can't we teach social justice and perfectionism together so that there will be harmony?
Yeah, we can. Why not? That is what we are trying to say. But then how we do it, okay, it depends upon our willpower, the mechanisms that we have. That's why we have talked about reservation. I gave you the example that the Supreme Court's restriction of 50% on reservation, a cap, fine. Subsidies and waivers given to people who actually deserve it. The special status category that we used to give, we have discussed elsewhere also, that we used to give to the states, we used to give to those states who are not performing. But is it justified to keep giving them the benefit and they don't perform throughout their life or throughout their entire generational existence? Will it be justified? To support you till the time you don't perform, or your father supporting you and you keep giving the exam, and almost finish half your life giving the exam only. Will it be justified? So you have to draw a line. Fine? For drawing the line, you need to have some benchmarks. You need to have certain lampposts. You need to have certain milestones. कि भाई यहाँ पहुंचोगे बेटा 3 attempts दो, 4 attempts दो, कुछ करो तो फिर उसके बाद आप मत करो. Fine? Yeah, you can try till now and then after that you leave it. So there must be a benchmark. Right? And same is true for the reservation. Same is true for everything. 1 generation, 2 generation, 3 generation, 4, 5, 6, 10, 7. Somewhere the buck has to stop. Corruption, उसने गलती नहीं किया, इसने नहीं किया, उसने नहीं किया, उसने bureaucracy है, boss है, ठीक है? No. So somewhere you have to draw a line. Political corruption, politicians, okay, political masters, ministers, chief ministers, prime minister, till what time will the country accept their idiotic decisions or whatever? The democracy somewhere has to take things in its own hands. Same way, the logic applies here also. That somewhere people will have to come up with a voluntary restraint on the benefits, the freebies, the subsidies which is being given to them. Somewhere the state will have to draw a line that, okay, benefit to what extent? Remove poverty, educate people, create opportunities, okay, provide a strong justice delivery system, give them certain benefits as per their performance. Yes, people will learn to excel. Do you want to make them dependent throughout their life? No. Fine. So yes, both can coexist, and that is what is being done. Democracies try to do it. सही है कि नहीं है? Right? Right? So, to ask the benefit or help, there are two ways to say the same thing. Now you tell your father, I want money, I have to do this. Oh, he might not take it very well. Right? But if you tell the father, I don't think you might be having the money for me to do this. You see, it changes the attitude. So it is how the thing has to be, or the particular system has to evolve. That is more important. You are doing the same thing. You provide benefit to the people, you give them rights and privileges, you give them benefits, but then how you are going to project it, that is more important. Congress बोलता है तुम ले जाओ, गरीबी हटाओ, गरीब हटाओ. Right? They made all their political members, all the party members rich. I can give you numerous examples. The people who were drivers, the people who were peons and chaprasis of Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, they have become big ministers and crorepati's in this country. One person comes, he makes a so-called person guilty of certain crimes or convicted or probably a wanted animal person, as a home minister. So the logic is that you cannot defend it to that extent that you keep doing things without any rational evaluation. The state also has to somewhere stop and say that we are creating market, we are creating opportunities, we are not diversifying these products and services, and now probably there is an opportunity for you to come out of your comfort zone, work hard and achieve it. Fine? So, ye bhi important hai. That is also important. Right? Empowerment will not come without this. Let us say third, we talked about utilitarianism. Fine. Let me give you a very simple example now. Let us say you are there are two people, A and B, right? Both are living in a particular area, right? Both are cattle rearers, for example. Animal husbandry, cattle rearing, okay, dairy, farming, this is what their profession is. For example, let us take it that way. Fine? He has six sheep, 4 cows, right? And definitely he might be able to survive himself. So he is sustaining a good life with obviously having this resource, right? Relatively, this person, 2 sheep and 1 cow, right? He is relatively poor to him, right? And obviously he might be needing, or he might need certain support or certain, you can say, additional input to survive. Right? Let's say the cow is ill, he'll have to need some support. Right? So let's say, for example, now the government is witnessing this. Now government says that, okay, fine. Let us now make this person rich. Just now we are talking about, right? Equality. इसके पास गाड़ी है, इसके पास नहीं है, इसको भी गाड़ी दे दो. Tata Nano car. Now Ratan Tata missed a very important aspect. Fine? When you are creating cars for the people, the cars for the mass, right? So that they also have a sense of ownership, they also have a status, they also have security, protection and whatever. You also needed to think about the parking. Who will give the parking? Who will give the petrol? Who will give the maintenance cost? Who will bear all this? ये भी तो जरूरी था साथ. ये सिर्फ गाड़ी देना जरूरी है. Right? Try to understand that sometimes inequalities work in favor of society, in favor of people, in favor of political systems. Sometimes it works, not sometimes, most of the times. The only aspect is the inequality must not lead to exploitation. The inequality must not lead to starvation. The inequality must not lead to crime. The inequality must not lead to powerlessness. तो अंबानी और हमारे बीच इनइक्वालिटी है? बिल्कुल. एवरीबडी इन द कंट्री इज अनइक्वल कंपेयर टू अंबानी. So there is inequality of opportunity. There is inequality of benefits and privileges. The global order, the entire globalization is based on the not only the inequality of income or resources, but it is based on the inequality of existence. Let's say. So these are two people. Now the government says, "यार ये poor है, गरीब है," plus he is absolutely poor also and he is relatively poor also. Both ways. He has problem of survival also. At the same time, with respect to him, he feels much neglected, much deprived compared to this person. So what should we do? Let us एक काम करते हैं, इसको भी rich बना देते हैं. Let us make him rich also. Or he can survive also, and the sense of inequality, the sense of deprivation will vanish. Let us do more. Now, what government does? Adds 4 sheep to his stock and adds 3 cows to his stock. Fine? Is it acceptable? A correct method? Fine? Or gives them money and says, okay, buy this. So you will also have equal stock, you will have almost equal status, and probably the income more or less will be same, and survival will be, or you will be above survival. Acceptable है? नहीं है? ये बता दो, कुछ बोल दो. ठीक है मेथड? जस्टिफाइड है? अच्छा लग रहा है? फील गुड हो रहा है? हो रहा है? फील गुड? Is it or not? Right? Now let us see that. So you believe this is what, right? Fine. Now let us say, obviously cattle hai, they require fodder. They require some support. They require grassland. Now let us see. Five hectares का एक grassland है, where they used to feed the cattle. Probably that is one of the natural resources available to them, the green belt available to them, the green patch available to them, through which they can feed their animal, right? Apart from whatever usual they are providing, right? So, but as the natural resource is available, they are feeding the cattle now. Let us say what was the rate of consumption or depletion earlier? Is this part visible to you or not? Is this visible?
Yes.
Right? 5. Let me write it with a different color. 5 upon 6 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 equal to 5 upon 13. The rate of consumption of the natural resources, considering they are eating equal. In the second case, what happens? This is also 10, that is also 10. The rate of depletion becomes 5 by 20. Does it become 2x, 2 times faster or not? Almost 2 times faster, the rate of depletion. Right? It becomes 2 times faster, the rate of depletion. Over the time, what will happen? the grassland is being consumed at twice the rate what it was doing earlier. A time will come when the grassland is over. The grazing grounds are finished, depleted. And that will be done. We are not just talking about one generation, maybe two generations. It's okay. Fine? But what will happen that day, because it is accessible to both. That day, or maybe in future, in 10 years down the lane, what happens? Okay, these two do not have, or there is no grassland for the consumption of their cattle. The cattle, let's say, dies over the time. Fine? No grassland, cattle dies, both become Was this a sustainable mode of distribution of resource? Is making people equal going to create the kind of justice or the kind of just and fair society we wanted? Are we able to reap the benefit of this kind of distribution? Let us say, instead of that, if the government would have done what? A simple thing. Taken 2 of his sheep, given to him, taken 1 of his cow, given to him, and said that now you are more capable, now you are more empowered, now you are above survival, and now you have almost equivalent status to him. Now you work hard and create for yourself. This is redistribution of resource, and this redistribution ensures that the resource remains, resource gets replenished over the time, it is not depleted before it is getting replenished. And such kind of redistribution ensures not only a kind of or absolute equality, it does not ensure absolute equality, but it creates a sense of equality, a sense of equity. Equity is when you need, you get how much you need, rather than you're just given, in comparison to others, equal in comparison to others. That is very different. Fine, let's say you are not hungry, and still I feed you because I am feeding others. So obviously you'll have to say that no, I am not hungry, I have eaten, so I want less. Somebody wants more. Give him more, give me less. Equity. So when you're talking about this idea, fine, logically, so when we are redistributing the resource, it is better, it is more just, it is more fair than simply giving the resources or equal distribution of resources. Imagine the same thing, that everybody has a car, but there is no parking, there is no road, right? There is no gasoline, there is no petrol for that, no diesel for that, or whatever, there is no fuel for that. And every day the conflicts are increasing, road rage is increasing, fine, traffic congestion is too high. Is it actually justifying the kind of growth we want, the kind of redistribution of wealth we want in this society? It is not. Are you understanding this? This is known as technically the tragedy of commons. What is the tragedy of commons? Natural resources, river, oxygen, right? All can consume equally. When all will consume equally, see the rate of depletion, how many times it would be. If all have access to everything, all have access to all the resources, you imagine the level of pandemic, the level of, epidemic, the level of disaster it is going to create. So the logic is equality a solution? No, it is the equity which is the solution. It is the redistribution which is the solution. It is not just the first-hand distribution of resources equally to people. Have you understood this logic? If you have understood this logic, tomorrow from here we are going to start the utilitarianism and the Rawls concept of justice, the theory of justice given by Rawls. Have you understood this? Yes or no? Kabhi haan, kabhi na.
Sir, is it fair to say that the failure of the government is responsible for the perpetuation
Perpetuation of?
perpetuation backward communities
No, failure of government. See, the governments are not.
in spite of special privileges provided to them.
Yeah, see, you have to understand, government does not have the rocket science, government does not have the jari booty to make the society equitable at all, or instantly. Fine, it's not a Maggi noodles that can be cooked and delivered to people. You have to understand that ensuring equality and justice is a very long-term process and which requires a very fair, just, transparent and non-corrupt system. So yes, failure of government is to an extent, no doubt, but it is all the failure of society. It is the failure of value system of the society that is also largely responsible. तुम्हारा काम हुआ, है? तुम्हारा काम बनता तो बनता, बाकी लोग जाएं, बाहर में जाए जनता. This is what the slogan is. We all follow. Chance pe dance. That is what we do. So logically, when we are like that, we are not concerned with the things. We believe that if we shut our eyes, the tiger will go, the cat will go, the mouse thinks that way. Fine, this is what we think. So you have to first think at the larger level, who chose the government, who makes them legitimate, who accepts what they do, it is we. So the onus lies on the society, the responsibility lies on the society as much as it lies on the government, on the bureaucracies, on the administration, because you get the kind of government you deserve. You cannot get a better government than what you deserve. Fine? So you have to think that way also. Is it okay? है? चले भाई, जाए? इजाजत है, आज्ञा है. See you tomorrow then, 10:15 somewhere. Fine. Thank you so much for your participation, contribution, and kindly propagate. Propagation is also very important. Fine. The knowledge also requires the commercial boost. Fine. See you then. Thank you so much for your time.